Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jim Feist Pro Football Handicapping Show here at DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar. My name is Tommy Canale. I've been the host of the show along with Mr. Feist the entire season. We are here on a beautiful Vegas day. It's like 70 degrees outside. It's a little windy, but there's some people in icy conditions that really wish they were sitting where we are. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. The wind, I don't know about this wind, man. We get a couple days of this, like yesterday was really windy. Last night wasn't too bad, but then back again. Nobody would ever believe how windy it gets here in Las Vegas.
No, I say wind is our bad weather. I'll take heat any day over cold snow. I'd rather be in shorts.
Amen.
Yeah,
exactly. Like you are today.
100%. It was 70 degrees. I'm like, I got to put the shorts on and short sleeves. It's time to go, man. I have a panel that's of all sharps and no squares, and actually it's bringing back Mike Scalleat. Mike, welcome back to the show.
How you doing, Tommy? Thank you.
I am doing well. All three of us did a show about a year ago this time, before we had this NFL Pro Football Handicapping Show on the Slice and Sit podcast, and you two guys absolutely nailed the outcome and everything of the Super Bowl a year ago. So we'll see how this is going to go this year and going forward and what you guys are going to talk about. We're going to get into the Super Bowl show and go there as well. I think we're going to add a fourth member to this panel, a prestige guy in the name of Bill Krackunberger. They call him the Crack Man. And here's the thing with Crack. Crack gets, people go after you because he's smart. I mean, he uses his mind to make money, and if I had his mind, I'd want to make the money he makes too. So he all the time, Crack Man is getting on the other side of it just for being a smart man and using his brain. But
he has a good show on a podcast. It's called Wisecracks. I watch it all the time. It's really good.
There you go. Yeah. Crack Man, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having on. Thanks for having me on. A call to the bullpen.
We're bringing in the closer.
I lost 7 pounds getting down here. I'm all right.
All right, guys, let's get into Kansas City, Philadelphia. Jim, I want to start with you. 2 years ago, this was a matchup in the Super Bowl. In your opinion, what are the major changes from the matchup 2 years ago that we're going to see in a couple days?
They're all older and more experienced, as we all are. I mean, that was a good game a couple of years ago, and they talk about Jalen Hurts but he had a hell of a game in that game, and you're talking about who has the better roster. Okay, I'll give you that. Probably Philadelphia is a better offensive and defensive lines. They don't have the better coaches. What you have on Kansas City is you have Andy Reid. Spagnuolo is probably, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in the business, and Mahomes, and they've won so many close games. Now, they don't blow people out, so a lot of people Eagles beat Washington by 50-some points. Well, that was Washington, who, in my opinion, was a pretender to begin with. Good team, and they're going to be good going down the road. I like their coaching staff. I like the quarterback, and a lot of things, and they got a lot of cap room. But today, in the group of four, they were the pretender. And Philadelphia got to play them for the third time this season, and they beat the heck out of them. And this is not the Washington defense that they're going up against.
Mike, let me ask you this then, something that Jim talked about with the matchup of the coaches and the advantage being to Kansas City. How much is that worth in the line spread to you?
3
points?
I'd say. Yeah. Now the Eagles, from the time they were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago with the Chiefs, now they have 2 new coordinators, Moore and Big Fangio, but I don't believe they compare with the coaches like Jim said on the Chiefs, plus Reid and plus Mahomes. So those 4 people there, I think, are the key people in this game, and they're, in my opinion, better than the Eagles. Fangio was the coach with Denver, and then he was the defensive coordinator with Miami, and Mahomes played him 8 times, and Mahomes beat him 8 times. So now maybe is he going to get it right this Sunday? I mean, he hasn't figured out the formula, but now he has a way better defense with the Eagles than he had with those other 2 teams, which means something. And Hurts, he outplayed Mahomes a couple years ago, but then when they had the big lead, and then he fumbles, and it goes from a 3-point lead, and now you're behind. So I guess we'll have to see how it goes this Sunday. It's a toss-up kind of game, but you got to go with the experience, in my mind.
Crackman,
hey,
they've been talking about all year about Philadelphia's slow start in their second half. The defense starts to take over games. So with that being said, how crucial is the start of this game for Philadelphia?
Yeah, and don't mind me, guys, a little bit out of breath here, running to get down here. I feel like an Italian guy on a witness stand. Just this game is going to be an important start, but I want to tell you something. Kansas City is a come-from-behind team. So we've seen situations before. I think the last time they played, maybe you can help me, Mike. Were they behind by 10?
Yeah.
At the halftime?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think this situation is maybe the same thing. All the sharps that I respect, it's only a couple of them, to be honest with you, they're thinking it's going to be a slow start. And Fez was telling me that there was a book this morning that had second half more scoring than the first half at $1.25. That's way too cheap, I thought. So we bet that. And now looking on my screen now, guys, too. It's all ones across the board.
Okay.
The only 1.5 is right down the street at Stations. Of course, if you're a winning sports bettor like myself or Mike, they'd probably throw you out of there, but it don't matter. Yeah, they usually
just penalized for being smart.
If you cut yourself and red blood comes out, you're out. That's the old antique Art Manteris. That's his. I hold no punches. I don't mean to say that. I know I get myself in trouble. It cost myself a lot of money probably throughout the year from advertisers and stuff. So that's the only 1.5, plus 1.5, minus 110. All around town, plus ones though. South Point plus 1 or minus 1, minus 0.5 juice over at the South Point. So I know that wasn't part of your question, but just figured I'd let everyone know that.
While you're throwing those out there, Crack, I've been hearing a lot of people are looking at taking the under in the first half. Have you been hearing the same thing?
Yeah, under first half, which first half, I'm looking at first half now. It's important to have a place like Stations though too. It's important to have Stations. It's important to have the Win. I'll give some props out to the Win. They really have the unique lines. They had a 53 on one of the recent games when it was 51 at Chris. It was 53 there. Don't worry, it landed 52. I didn't middle it, but I did have under 53. But it's important because you'll go under 24 minus $1.10. It doesn't sound like a big deal. $1.10, $1.15, $1.20. But if you're betting anything more than $100, I think it is important. Thank you. I think it is important. So I'm seeing 24. I didn't make that bet though. I don't know what's going. I'm hoping Kansas City comes out of the gate here and has a good game. I have some futures on Kansas City, and I also bet the money line when it came out, thinking I was a genius, getting an unbelievable money line at Pick'em. And here we're heading back towards the Pick'em. There's some people in town. Some people I actually respect, thinking that Philadelphia's going to close favorite. I doubt that very much. But we might get a pick'em in this game.
I've looked at some splits on this game, and it seems like some people are saying there's more tickets on Philly and more money on Philly, yet they're the underdog.
Now, on that being said, real quick, I was just going to bring up, I just wrote down this morning, I saw on CBS Sports, they released an article stating that 68% of the public bet is on the Eagles with the points, and 77% are taking the over, and 55% are taking the Chiefs on the money line. I thought those were interesting percentages on what the public is looking at.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, Tommy, but talking about what Crack was saying or getting into the game, in the Chiefs are a better come-from-behind team. The Eagles really, I don't think they could afford to fall behind 10 or more like the Chiefs have in that game and in many other games in this Super Bowl run that they've had where they've been behind 10 or more in the playoff game, Super Bowl. Because Andy Reid will make so many adjustments that come the second half, that's where they seem to shine. And the other teams, they got to be able to keep up with him, so we'll see.
Jim, let me ask you this. Mahomes has been known to break games open with his feet in the past, but now he's going up against his defense. Do you see Mahomes rushing being a factor in this game?
Yes, definitely. They hold back during the regular season. They kind of play with their food. I'm talking about the Chiefs during the regular season. They win a lot of games, but they don't win by margin. So a lot of people look at that and say, well, they're not that good. Well, they had some running back problems. They had some wide receiver problems. They had offensive line issues. And Mahomes doesn't want to get hurt, and they don't want him to get hurt, especially when they know how to win close games. But in the playoffs, He picked up the running last time in the last game,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll do so again this week. There'll probably be four people running the ball for the Chiefs, and maybe 5. But you're going to have Worthy, you're going to have Hunt, you're going to have Pacheco, and you're going to have Mahomes. But there might be a 5th one also with a trick play here or there. But he's going to run the ball, and over his running props in this game, that I'd have to bet that.
Did you take that, Mike? Mahomes?
No, I don't know how he's going to do, because at the end, Jim, if they're ahead, say now he's taking a knee and he's dropping back, and now you start subtracting them yards. So that's
Well,
not.
I wasn't talking about yards. I was talking about attempts.
Attempts.
Oh, attempts. Oh, he's going to run when it's necessary to run. That's what he does. He doesn't do it unless he figures this is the right place, sees an opening, and he runs. He'd rather throw the ball. But if he has to run, he'll run. And Hurts, last time they played, he had like 70 yards against the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs are going to have a little hard time running it. I have a feeling of that. But they got enough weapons to win this game, whether they have a big running game or not.
Crack, I was just going to go to the opposite side there. And your thoughts on, first off, Jalen Hurts and how healthy he's going to be and how much he's going to try and take off and run in this game.
Well, first, let me tell you, I actually bet a lot of money on one of the last prop you said. Under, even the win yesterday had under 7.5. I bet under minus $1.40, $1.80 yesterday on Mahomes attempts, rushing attempts.
7.5?
Big number. 6.5. I see 5.5 plus money now. I would rather go with the under 6.5 minus $1.30. But that's a pretty big bet for me. I bet that multiple times. If you were to bet under 6.5 every game throughout this regular season, I think you were like 17-0.
Oh.
Yeah, believe it or not. Now the playoffs, both times he has went over. He had 9 or 10, but I think you're literally, he rushed 3 or 4, average 3.5 the whole regular season. So our eyes play tricks on us. My buddy Paul, who's outside there, he taught me that saying. It's so true. We only watch things that were previous weeks, and we remember that the next 7 days. Oh, I gotta bet that. Oh, he just did that. I gotta bet that. Oh, Barkley, longest rush, 25.5. Well, he got that last week on the first play. That's easy. That's an easy over. Meanwhile, it's a 5-figure bet for me on the under. I usually don't brag about dollar amounts, but I tried. At Westgate, I tried to bet as much as I could on that. They had 25.5. They moved to 25.5, under 25. I bet it again. 24.5 flat. I bet it again. Longest rush. As a matter of fact, day of the game, you'll probably be able to find 25.5 again. Right now, I see Pinnacle 25.5 under 15. I would hit it there, but they take nickels. So, but yeah, I'm looking to bet against the public, and a lot of those bets usually show up the day of the game. So on Sunday, the day of the game, or Saturday night, Sunday, I'll be looking to go. Though I did bet under Barkley last night, 116.5 yards. But now you're saying the other side, Hurts. The wise guys are on the under on his rushing yards also, on Hurts' rushing yards under. Started out about, I think it was 48.5. I think it's down to 40.5 now. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. Down to 40.5.
40.5 now. It was 48. There was actually a 48.5 out there. I didn't bet that. I didn't get that one in though. But I did bet the attempts from Mahomes, rushing attempts under 3 times, and I did bet under 25.5 twice, 24.5, and looking to bet that again on Saquon's longest rush, and maybe even, I bet under last week 125.5 on his rushing yards. The first time he gets the ball, he rushes for 60 yards. You figure that was a throwaway the ticket, but no, he only got another 50 yards throughout the game. Granted, fourth quarter they were going to sit him a little bit. How many times have we said watching a game when we have a prop or something, and we say, up by 21, what are you doing keeping the star of the game in the game in the fourth quarter? Well, the Eagles were smart enough to take him out last week. But as far as the other side of the ball, the Eagles are getting a lot of sharp action. It's a very rare instance where I'm against some of the handicappers, and I'm not only rooting, I actually like Kansas City in the game, and everyone complains all these games are fixed. I told you guys this last week. Just bet on Kansas City then if you think that. I mean, yeah, granted, okay, maybe some of the calls do go their way, but some of the calls go the other way too. There was even in the Buffalo game, there was a face mask they missed. Guy didn't go out of bounds at the end. He went out of bounds. They said he was, vice versa. They called him inbounds when he was out of bounds at the end, gave Buffalo a little bit more of a chance. So lots of interesting scenarios in this game. And I said it this morning on VSiN, this is a real easy game to overbet. People just like have to get everything they have into action. Now, granted, I'm one of them, but I do it in a way that I have an edge. I'm making lots of bets where I have a mathematical edge. Matter of fact, 20 of the last 22 Super Bowls, I've actually made money on the Super Bowl. Last year, I broke about even. So, anyway, Jerry Eisenberg, 94 years old, calling for a quote in his paper. Jerry's still writing for the North Star Ledger. God bless him. Going to be 95 years old.
God bless him.
He's probably one of the few guys that's still using shorthand.
Yeah, what a great guy Jerry Eisenberg is. I'll have to get back to him. But
he's not using AI?
Not yet, probably. He's probably still using shorthand. Jim, let me ask you this, because I want to know your opinion. Who's got the advantage when it comes to special teams? Because sometimes a big special teams play can break this game open.
I start with the kickers. Who do you want, Elliott or Burkett? I mean, Elliott's been missing all year. He's not accurate. I mean, I think that's a huge edge nobody talks about. The kickers for Kansas City have an edge.
I think you're right, Jim. Yeah, he's more clutch and he's been in these games. Yeah, Elliott was good, but it seemed this past year he slacked off a little for some reason. You know, there's a lot of pressure, but you know, the special teams, you know, the kickers, I mean, the guys who return the kicks and all, I think that goes to the Chiefs too. They have a couple good speedy guys back there. But we'll see. You never, I mean, who knows what it's going to come down to, Tommy? There's so many variables going, so we'll see what happens.
When you look at, like, okay, Elliott, who do you want, Burkett or Elliott? Who do you want, Reed or Sirianni? Who do you want? You know.
Well, if you go to that scenario,
if you start matching it up like that, it leads you to one direction, all Chiefs.
Exactly.
Now, if you look at the offensive, defensive lines, you can make a case that Philadelphia has the better talent, and they're healthier in those spots for the most part.
So let me ask you exactly what your point is. If this comes down to a winning field goal kick, which kicker do you want?
I just told you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it comes down to that. Crack?
talking about, I just got all three of my tickets out that I have. Plus, by the way, there's two more online. It's the same exact bet. Butker over 1.5 field goals. Which, by the way, I got to give the Win credit. They're taking $3,000 on props. The Win's taking $3,000. Circa.
Did you wear sunglasses when you took that bet? They didn't know it was you.
Circa taking $2,000. Just to let you know, I mean, I talk good and bad about all the sports books, though. I give credit where credit's due. BetMGM took $2,000. I mean, from me on that, and I'm just saying, like, some of these places take bets. So I got to give the Win credit, taking $3,000 on props. Over 1.5 field goals by minus $1.35 now. I'd still bet it. I bet it at minus $1.25 twice at minus $1.30. I think here you have one of the best kickers, maybe the best, probably the best Super Bowl kicker ever. Kicking here. So I don't go back as far as some of you guys, but I mean this guy's that good. This guy's that good. I think that over 1.5. And I have to give the Westgate credit too, though. The Westgate. Also is going to 3,000. They were going to 3,000 on the app. I talked to John Murray down there, and they had some guys that were double and triple hitting them at the same time. 3, 2, 1, go, and all three of them bet it together. So they had to lower it to 2,000. But Westgate, I mean, look at this. Isn't this beautiful? 52 pages of bets. 575. I mean, the prop bets. Westgate, I was there Thursday night. I brought Brian Noe, my co-host on Fox Sports Radio. Brought him down there with me. And that was it's just fun. I didn't think I was going to have so many betting opportunities, by the way, because real simply, BetMGM, Caesars, DraftKings, FanDuel, they all put the lines up. Sunday night prop lines up, literally after the championship game. So Monday morning, and our town doesn't put them up until 4 days later, which South Point and Westgate put them up 4 days later. So I thought I wasn't going to have opportunities to do it. And I was surprised I came up with 10 bets there that night, and over and over. You only get to make 2, by the way. Go to the front of the line, go back, go to the front of the line. There was about 20 of us online, and what surprised me there too, lots of guys that like sell picks for a living. Lots of guys that are in sports betting media. One guy has a Rolls Royce he shows with pictures. None of them made bets. They were just looking for press, I guess. I don't get it. No. I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying, like, They were there. They got Las Vegas Review Journal was the first place that interviewed them, but they didn't make any bets. So
you transitioned beautifully right where I was going to go into props. Jim, I want to ask you this: how much in this game is overtime a possibility, and is it something worth taking a prop on?
Well, probably underpriced, so you're probably not going to get the true value of what overtime. I don't know what the price is, but usually you're not getting true value. What would be the price on that, Bill?
There's probably about 8 to 1. I seen a better way. Let me just think, because I just seen a better way to get at this overtime. It was 12 to 1, just worded differently. So it was worded differently, it was on a 3-way line. Someone had it on a 3-way line, and the way they worded it, will it be tied after 4 quarters? But it didn't say that, but that's what it meant. And it was 12 to 1. So 12 to 1, I may throw a peanut on it because, years ago, the wise guys, they would all bet no safety and no overtime. Then they started getting their heads handed to them because, the situations too, there's analytics come in the game, 2-point conversion. There's some other things now that's a little more aggressive on the analytics departments and the teams themselves. But that was a big bet years ago, but it was minus 8 to 1, minus 9 to 1 on the no. Now it's minus 16 to 1, 17 to 1. So they priced the sharps out of betting. By the way, no is the way to bet a lot of these props anyway, because people, what are they going to do? They're going to bet yes, plus 6 to 1, 8 to 1, 5 to 1. There's 40 players listed. 40. I don't even know how they come up with 40. There's 40 different players that were listed to have a touchdown. I don't even know how they come. Is there even 40 on this roster?
That would be a big score.
No, I mean, so yes and no on all these players, though. Well, what people are going to bet the yes. They want to bet Kelsey touchdown plus 6 to 1 or plus 4 to 1, and these other guys, Noah Gray plus 10 to 1. They want to bet all these guys yes, and that's the way they're going to bet. And the sports books know that. So if you have a yes/no market, I'll tell you what. If you have a lot of money, Jim. You can. It is what it is.
I like how you just threw Jim out there.
No, but if you do,
Jim's looking around.
You could bet the no on these. You know what I mean?
Well, the last couple of days, most of the people will come in and bet the unders because all these numbers have gone up. Like you talked about rushing for Mahomes, I bet over 5.5.
Yeah.
You're betting under 7.5.
We could both win.
We both could win. I mean, no, I wouldn't bet over 7.5, but I bet over 5.5.
Yep.
So at the end, like Saturday, Sunday, getting into the game, there's going to be a lot of big money coming under on all these games, these props that are they're inflated.
From the pros, they'll be unders.
Yes.
Joe Public's coming in town Saturday night from LA. They want scoring, they're drinking, they're partying, they're not rooting for nothing to happen.
Those are the guys that are going to bet like the winning margin 13 to 25.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mike, let me ask you this. Team totals, are you on either side betting on a prop on a team total?
No. I have one prop, Tommy. A.J. Brown, we got 73.5 yards. We bet it under, and now I see everybody's at 70.5, even though 3 years ago or whatever, he had 90 against the Chiefs. But I believe Spagnuolo is going to have a way to hold him and Barkley down and let A.J. Smith and Hurts try to beat him. And I was on the Eagles 3 years ago, just to let you know. But that I learned a lesson, so not happening this time.
Did you take any of the team totals?
No.
No, I was talking to Jim. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I bet both teams to score over 20.
Love that.
Both of that, and I have the game to go over. I saw the line.
Over, what'd you get it at?
Well, I got it at 48. Then I went to 48.5. I got more, and then with the 49, I didn't do anything. 49.5. I said, but now it came back. So I like both. I like the game to go into the 60s. I just see a lot of points. The game's going to be different than a lot of people think it is. A lot of people are downplaying Kansas City's offense. You shouldn't do that, because when you get Andy Reid, when you get all the things they're doing these past 2 weeks, it's like a chess game. They're coming up with a game plan to take away the strengths and weaknesses and play on the weaknesses of the other team. So they're both making plans, but who's the better coach? Who's going to make the better plans? I like both teams to go over. I like to be a high-scoring game, just like it was 2 years ago.
Jim, here's to make your point on Andy Reid. Okay, it was Buffalo, and it's 3rd and 9. Now they could have ran the clock down a little more, right? He throws a pass to Perrine. He wasn't even in the game the whole while. 9 yards, first down. Now the game's almost over, correct? So he's gonna outsmart these guys. I don't care who's on the other side in this game. He did it 3 years ago. they'll do it again.
It's very possible. That's the way I'm betting.
Crack, I'm kind of leaning more to what you had said a little earlier. I think the Chiefs are going to come out hot, ready to go, and try and push the tempo, momentum, try to get in the end zone a couple times early. Instead of playing from behind, get ahead. And once Andy Reid gets ahead, look out, because he'll clock manage the hell out of this game.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Jim said it before, coach over coach, just not even close. And I even think quarterback over quarterback, though I really like Hurts. Hurts last time when he lost that game, I felt bad for him. Even though I bet the other way.
He played great.
He had such a great game.
He did.
I felt bad for him. I would think they'd want to come out and show a little bit more. By the way, guys, I usually don't do this. During the show, someone just texted me, which is I'll just say his name, Warren Sharp. He's very, very, it's a Fugazi name, by the way. His name's not Sharp. But Warren just sent me something that he's going to bet. He said you should bet it by 12:30. Hollywood Brown over 3.5 receptions, minus 120. Worth a bet for you. He only sent me 2 this whole Super Bowl. So Hollywood Brown over. I hope he's right, because I need Hollywood Brown and I'm sure Mike does. We need him to probably catch some balls. So. Yeah, him and Worthy, exactly.
If you want Kansas City to score, you're going to have to get some of those receivers.
Some of them, Hollywood Brown over. So anyway, that's probably going to be. You're not going to be able to get that because he has a big following. So when he releases something in 4 minutes, it moves. He's got lots of people. He sends it to. So Hollywood Brown over. I'm going to bet it myself. But I'm hoping that we get out there and show some right away. Kansas City shows some offense there. Gets on the ball and scores. But I like a bet you said, Jim. What did you lay on that bet? Both teams over 20. My buddy Fez says that's like a free roll. And of course, nothing's ever a lock or a free roll.
I got a couple thousand on each, but
what number do you? Like minus 110?
I don't recall the number.
That's good though.
I got 13 props. I mean, I can't remember them all, but I went crazy with
I like
props.
that though. I like that.
Before I forget, I want to let everybody know, next week we're going to be doing 2 shows. We'll be back Monday. Monday we'll be back at noon to talk about the Super Bowl. Crackman will be back again with Brian No, and we'll be diving into what happened on Sunday for the Super Bowl. And then a week from today, also at noon, we're going to have Jim and Albert Scalleat's going to come up here on the panel. We're going to talk about DOMs and talk about the football season. So it'll be great to have everybody come back next Monday and next Thursday. And then I'll tell you what we're going to do after that, and after a few more questions. But I want to just make sure I'm on the right line here with everybody. I think all 4 of us here are saying just straight up Kansas City's the team, right?
Well, I think if they played 10 times, I think one of the teams is going to win 6, maybe 5. I mean, it's not that, but this is the Super Bowl. So what we have here is we don't have last week they played on the road and now they're traveling and they got a short week. These guys have had 2 weeks, so you have like a chess game. You got the 2 best teams, supposedly, in the league, and you have these coaches making all these plans, how to scheme, how to take away, how to add something to their offense. And when you look at that and you give these coaches, who I think some of them are brilliant, some of them are average, I'm going with the coaches to make the right adjustments. And I know Mike feels the same way, that Spagnuolo and Reed and Nagy, they're going to make the right adjustments as compared to what Philadelphia will do. Are they better than Philadelphia? No. Because when you look at the offensive line, the defensive line, you've got maybe better talent on the Philadelphia side. However, Kansas City has added some players in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Hollywood Brown being one of them. Pacheco came back. They've got some tools now that they didn't have the entire year. So they played with their food a lot. They won a lot of games, but they really didn't blow anybody out. So people look at that and say, oh, this guy won by 55 and they win by 2. I mean, so they look better. But who did they play and what was their motivation? It's a totally different game plan. Reed knows how to win. He knows how to win long term. Matter of fact, he was a coach at Philadelphia. He still has more victories as the coach at Philadelphia than anybody's ever had. So, I mean, this guy's been around. He knows how to do it.
Like I said before, I'm taking the Chiefs until somebody beats them. Mike?
I agree with you there, Jim. Tommy. But the Eagles do have the talent. But, I don't know how far that's going to get them. But I wanted to say one thing. The Chiefs can afford to start out slow, or start out fast. If the Eagles don't start out fast, they're going to have a big problem. They're not no come from behind, and if they're down 10 or more starting the second half like the Chiefs have been in many games, I think they're going to have a serious problem. So we'll see how they start out. And here's one guy to look for in this game that nobody's mentioned with the Chiefs is DeAndre Hopkins. He hasn't done anything, and he's been there, I don't know, 8, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. But, you know, you start forgetting about a guy like him, and this could be his kind of game.
Crack, let me ask you this, because this is kind of on the flip side of it. And it was a question that somebody asked me just yesterday. How shocked will you be if Philadelphia runs away with this game?
Not shocked at all.
Not at all.
No, and I'm betting on the other side. But that's, you know, when you give out, everyone asks you for picks from the games. I mean, I've gotten every single news source, I think, contacted me in the last week. Who do you like? Who do you like? Who do you like? They don't realize what an efficient line this is. It comes out that Sunday night. It's ironed out by Monday morning, 2 weeks ahead of time. This is a very, not that I'm not betting and rooting on it, but I'll have so much more on these props than I will the game itself. Nothing would surprise me, though, on the game. Either team winning by 17 points, neither one would surprise me. It's not a favorite to happen. Kansas City's the king of these one-score games, so, but nothing would surprise me. Look at the season here. You know, Carolina almost, Kansas City should have lost multiple games. Just thinking Carolina, but the Eagles too. I mean, the Eagles played Jacksonville. We talk about it on our show with Brian and I talked about it. I remember that game. The Eagles had the game in hand, and Jacksonville almost won the game at the end. They're such garbage teams, you know. And even Washington beat, even though the Eagles did what they did in the playoffs. But Washington beat them. It's not like they're the greatest team, unbeaten team in football history. Anything can and will happen any given Sunday, and especially this Sunday, as far as the side and total goes.
Questions from the audience.
Ray? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Nice call, Crack.
How did we know?
Heads or tails? No. My question is this. I've been following this prop all week, and I'm about to strike on it. I have a few in, but this is the one I've been looking at the most. Obviously, the whole world is on Travis Kelce. Obviously, he's at 6.5 receptions, minus one, whatever it is, 60-something around there, wherever you want to shop it at. Number one, you got to throw the ball. We know that. Number two, you got to catch it. I've been looking on the other side of the ball, like I'm looking at what Philly's going to try to do and what they do. They play man. They don't have great secondary. They have two guys who really don't want to play with too much. They're going to try to throw underneath. Where I'm going with this, Pat, is this. With Blankenship. Over-under tackles and assists, 6.5. That's the guy lined up across the street from Kelce. Tackles and assists, minus 185. I think that, and over 7, minus 200, actually. I think that instead of the Kelce, I think that the Blankenship, with the way the Chiefs might try to attack underneath, I think that's a little bit more, I think that's a little bit better of a bet to take the Blankenship side rather than the Kelce side. What do you guys think of?
That's a big price delay. Minus 2 to 1 with that?
It was minus 180 for tackles and assists on Blankenship, the guy who's covering Kelce, the guy who's supposed to catch the ball 6.5 times.
Well,
the exact number at 165.
There's also another tight end. What's his name for Kansas? No, Noah or something. Gray. They have him at a very low number for receptions, and Reed has used him strategically in that position a couple times. And attacking Philadelphia in the middle is where Kelce does his work, and that's where Gray can do his work as well. I think you have to consider that when you're talking about Blankenship, because now you might have two of them out there at the same time. The one thing that I feel, and we could all be wrong, but the strength of Philadelphia is running the ball. The best running team in football, the second best running team in football. You're going to take away their need to run or their ability to run. You have to put them behind. You got to take the lead on them and take them and make them start to have to throw the ball. So you try to change the pace of the game. You're like you do in a basketball game. You're a slow down team, you're an up-tempo team. The same type of thing can happen in a football game. Watch out for over 36.5 passing attempts by Mahomes. And they may open up that passing game. They've got several wide receivers and tight ends that they can put in there at the same time. Their running game is crap. They haven't been running the ball well at all this year. And they have an offensive line issue where they've had to move one player over to guard Mahomes' back, and that hurts their running game. So that's why I'm saying you might have 5 people running the ball for Kansas City, but you're going to have Mahomes back there throwing the ball maybe 40 times in this game, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Philadelphia's pass defense. And if they get behind, they're not going to be able to run the ball as efficiently as they did before.
Ray, next question. Oh, sorry.
Other questions out there from our audience members? All right, so here's what's going to...
Brian?
Yeah, real fast. What's something you guys will look at if it's, say, Noah Gray, 1.5 catches, or there are so many weapons for both teams, but mainly the Chiefs, where Juju Smith-Schuster is at 1.5. What will you look at for an under when either the yardage or the receptions are so low to begin with?
Yeah, did you and I know Brian also hosts a Saturday show on Fox Sports Radio. Did you and Jared talk about this? Did one of you guys have this bet? No. Maybe it was Jared that I heard on with Fez and Chris, Las Vegas Chris. This prop is 1.5, and I think they like the over on this prop. I didn't bet this one, but Jim brought him up right away. So you could be right. This could be a situation where he may sneak in a second catch there. Yeah. So
Ray, you had another question?
Xavier Worthy and Saquon Barkley, either of them to record 2 touchdowns in the game, plus 220, or the tush push to be executed perfectly, touchdown, they call it the octopus, at plus 1,400. What's the better bet?
That's where the guy scores the touchdown and the 2-point, the same player?
Yes.
is there a no or just a yes bet?
You have to pick one.
No, yeah, because if it's yet, those
As
one-way
Craig
markets.
said earlier, it's no.
No, those one-way markets are so tough to bet into. It's so heavily juiced. They don't pay enough. But people love to take anything plus money, like 6 to 1, 10 to 1, 12 to 1. So, but yes and no markets on this type of thing. Of course, the no's the better bet. But it's fun. If you want to bet pizza money on the yes at 14 to 1, you bet pizza money on the yes.
Okay, so starting Wednesdays, February 26th, like I said, next week, Monday, Crackman and Brian Noe will be here with us to talk about the Super Bowl. Everything happened on Sunday. Next Thursday at noon, Albert will be up here. We're going to wrap up the football season, talk more about Dom DeMarco. He's going to take a week off, and then starting Wednesdays, February 26th, we're going to transition into March Madness, and I'm excited to get into March Madness. And with that, we're going to start this Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar Basketball Madness Bracket Challenge. You'll be able to enter in 2 brackets. The winner's going to get a $300 food voucher to Dom DeMarco's. Second place, $200. Third place, $100 to Dom DeMarco's, and you can enter up to 2 brackets. So, brackets will be here at the restaurant on Monday morning after Selection Sunday, which would be March 16th, I believe, or is the Monday that we'll start
Tommy,
that.
you're the basketball expert. Who's going to win it all?
I love college basketball.
I know you do, but you got to give us a winner.
I said to you earlier, to me it's 1A and 1B right now. I mean, Duke is playing really well. Are they peaking too early? That's remained to be seen. Cooper Flagg is the real deal. What Duke is very good at is not allowing a lot of teams to get second chance points. But Auburn is 1B for me. I mean, if they're healthy, they've proven they can win a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game.
Yeah,
so
but we got to come up with an underdog somewhere. I mean, we can't be laying 2 to 1, 3 to 1.
I said if you want to put some money,
We
if you
need
want to
a
put
price.
some money on a plus, then go look at Tennessee. Rick Barnes usually collapses in the tournament because he can't coach well when it gets down.
We got an underdog player over there with a big ticket this week. We got to mention
Our buddy
Yeah.
Scott.
Scott, $4,000 on the Eagles
Chiefs.
the Chiefs to beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl pays $224, and I know he has a hedge on that too. So
You gotta have some kind of.
You gotta hedge.
You gotta hedge when it comes to that kind of money. You have to hedge. I'm not a hedge guy. I hate hedging because you're betting a negative EV bet. There was just a good book that came out about hedging, though, and why you should hedge. But I built my bankroll up in the '90s. That's what I did. I middled and scalped. That's what I did all throughout the 90s, before the internet, before Don Best. Well, Don Best was out there, but it was like 93, 94, 95. That's how I built up my bankroll. But I realized that I basically was scalping for, I was, hitting the weak sports books, and I was giving all the money to Pinnacle or Chris. No, I really was. So I was scalping for them. So I was like, what am I doing here? And someone to come along and tell me, hey, I was always leaving a little bit more on the what I thought was the wrong line or the hot line. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I was today. But yet, I wouldn't scalp a middle today unless it's right out there in my face. But that situation, if your average bet is, let's say, $1,000, and you're now going to win $12,000 on something, well, if you're going to win 12 units, you don't have any weekends how many weekends? Probably 0. You win 12 units. So, you want to hedge yourself maybe a third of the money the other way to guarantee yourself a little bit of profit. So that's what I feel.
Well, Scott, I wish you luck. I hope you hit your bets. Hope everybody has a great, successful betting Super Bowl Sunday. I hope it's a great game. We want to thank Crackman, Mike Scalleat. Round of applause for these guys. The Sharps, we have no squares up here. I want to thank everybody, all our audience, for coming to Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria for the NFL Pro Football Handicapping by Jim Feist, the man, the myth, the legend. The mic is yours, the last words.
I'm on Kansas City in the over. That's what everybody wanted to hear. That's me, and I got 13 props, too many to mention, but I did mention some of them during the show.
That's gonna do it. You got something, Mike? Go ahead.
No, I'm on Kansas City. The total, I don't necessarily agree with Jim. I didn't play it, but I'm on Kansas City in that one prop. I'm not into all those props and too much to watch. Just enjoy the game.
And I'll have about 25 times more, 50 times more on props than the game itself. But just remember, in the end, when you hear the bookmakers, if it's a high-scoring game like the last Eagles Kansas City game in the Super Bowl, and the bookmakers want to cry, they have destroyed everyone and ruined lives all year long. So.
Well, Crack, we did well, and we asked for the right hander out of the bullpen for you to come in and take over. So thanks for coming on the panel today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Stick around. We're going to give away 3 bottles of wine, compliments of J. Lloyd. We will see everybody on Monday here at Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria Wine Bar for the Jim Feist Pro Football Handicapping Show. Take care, everybody. My name is Tommy Canale.
Hi, buddy.